slope is rise of a run. Algebraic definition, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Now I want to find the slope of this algebraically, so what do? I write the formula, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And I'm going to label my points. Okay? Now, I start plugging and chugging. 14 minus a negative 6, negative 5 minus 3. Minus a negative is what? A positive. 14 plus 6 gives me 20 over negative 8. What does 20 over negative 8 reduce down to? 5 over negative 2. Very good. And that is your slope algebraically. Do we all remember this, yes or no? On tonight's worksheet, this is like problems 1 through 8. Nope, it doesn't matter. Because the negative divided by positive is still a negative, whether you have the negative in the top or the bottom. You just can't have it in both. Okay? Like problems 1 through 8. Okay? Do we understand that, yes or no? We good? Okay. Next. Slope-intercept form. Here's the most important thing you need to know about slope-intercept form. It is y equals mx plus b. And what is m? What's m? M is the slope. And what is the point 0b? It is the y-intercept. Those are the three things you need to know. The equation, which is y equals mx plus b. That in the equation, m is the slope. Sorry. And lastly, that you have the point 0b. Jared, go find a new home. You can't see over here. Danny, can you see, hon? Okay. You're more than welcome to move. Okay. You ready? You don't have to write it verbatim, guys. I highlighted the things you really need to know. Verbatim means word for word. Okay? You don't have to copy it word for word. You can summarize things. I'm okay with that. I strongly suggest it. Okay. Now, the next one, you do need to write this one down. You may summarize it, though. The y-intercept is going to be the point on the graph where it crosses the y-axis, also known as the point 0b. Tyler, go sit and copy that stuff down. The y-intercept is the point on the graph where it crosses the y-axis. This is known as the point 0b. Now, I'm super picky about this. So whenever I say I'm super picky, I mean I am literally super picky. A y-intercept is a point. And since it is a point, don't just give me the b value. You give me it in ordered pair form, which has an x and a y coordinate. Why is the x coordinate 0 here? Well, because if it's crossing the y-axis, what do all these points on the y-axis have in common? All the x's are 0. What changes is the y value. Do we all understand that? So x is 0 all the time for the y-intercept. Any questions over that? Okay. Next. Do not write this down. I'm going to show you an easier way to do it. This is what your book has. Your book is wonderful. It is right. It is correct. You have 4 different slopes. You have a positive slope, a negative slope, a 0 slope, and an undefined slope. And what they have done for you here is they have given you a picture to represent each one of these slopes with a description. A positive slope is going uphill, And that means from left to right, it's rising into the top, up to the right, okay? A negative slope, the line is falling from left to right. And then a horizontal line has no slope, it's level. In other words, you could put a house on it. Do you see that? It's level ground. And then you have the undefined slope, which is the vertical line, which is the cliff. Now, here's a really easy picture. How many of us love to go sled riding whenever it snows here? How many of us like roller coasters? Okay? Slope is nothing but a picture of that. Connect all of those lines together, and this is what you have. You have a mountain, don't you? Okay? And since we're in America, we always read things from left to right. In order to go sled riding down a hill, what do you first have to do? You have to walk up the hill. So when a line looks like this, it's a positive slope. Make sense? When you get to the top of the hill, what do? You go down, you fall. You have a negative slope. So all the lines that look like this have a negative slope, meaning you're going downhill, right? And then when you get to the bottom of the hill, it's a zero slope. It's level. You can build your house. Make sense? You don't see too many houses on a mountain, right? Okay? Then, at the very end is what we see as a cliff. When you look over a cliff, what is down there? It's undetermined, right? You don't always know what's down there. You don't know what's in Death Valley, now do you? Okay? Since we don't know what's there, it's undefined. Does that make sense? These are the 4 possible lines with the 4 possible slopes and what they look like. Do we all understand that picture, yes or no? Had anybody seen that picture previously than this? Jared, you're the only one who had seen this picture? Nobody else saw that picture before? Okay, this is the roller coaster or sled riding picture. Keep it in your brain. It's going to be imprinted. I'm going to refer back to it all the time. Okay? All right, next. Find the equation of the line with slope equaling 5 and a y-intercept equaling 0, 3. Now, I've given you one equation, haven't I? What is that equation? Y equals mx plus b. Okay? All you're going to do is plug and chug what you know. I know the slope, which is 5, and b is my y-intercept, which is the point 0b, right? So what's b here? It is 3. Done. Make sense? That's it, babe. Done. Done. Write an equation for each line. That's what it says to do. Taisha. Because the y-intercept is the value 0b, always. It's that number that's attached, that's the y-coordinate, that's attached to the x-coordinate, that's 0, always. Okay? So if they give you the point 0, 3, that means that 0 means it's the y-intercept, which is the b value. Does that make sense? Always. And that's how I got it to be 3. You with me? Okay, now what does this thing look like graphically? Graphically, I want to graph this bad boy. The only way I can graph it is by taking the information they gave me and using it. They gave me 2 pieces of information. They gave me a y-intercept, which is 0, 3, and they gave me a slope of 5. Well, if I graph that, I can graph the point 0, 3, can't I? There it is. Agree? Now, what about a slope being 5? Okay. Graphically, slope is understood to be rise over run. Now, which means it's a fraction. Do I have a fraction here as my slope? No, so I need to turn it into a fraction by putting it over 1. Do we all understand that right now? Yes or no? Excellent. Now, what does bread do in an oven? It rises. If people say, what does rise mean in the oven? What direction does it rise? It rises up. If people say, please rise for the singing of the national anthem, what do? You stand up. So, whenever we rise, that means we're going up. Rise means up. Now, whenever I say run, can everybody run in the same direction? You don't have to, do you? Which means you can run to the right or you can run to the left. Okay? A positive slope means you run to the positive numbers, which is you're going to run to the right. Make sense? Because all the positive numbers are to the right. If you have a negative slope, which direction are you going to run? You're going to run to the left because that's where all the negative numbers are. Make sense? Yes or no? Now, if my slope is 5 over 1, what direction am I going to run? I'm going to rise up 5 units because rise means up, and I'm going to run because it's positive to the right. Does that make sense? So I've already graphed the point 0.03 here, and from there, now I need to use my slope, which we already determined to be 5 over 1, and rise up 1 unit from it, and then go to the right 1 unit. So from my y-intercept, I'm going to go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units. And then from that value, I'm going to go to the right 1 more to put me there. Do we see that I need 2 points to make a line? Do I have those 2 points? Yes, I do. And I can connect the dots. What's that? That's sweetness right there. Do we understand that, yes or no? Let's do this all again. What's my equation? Y equals mx plus b. What is my m? My m is 0. And what is my b? -5. Do I need to have the 0x there? I really technically don't have to have it there. So my equation is just going to be y is equal to -5. But how do I graph that if I don't have a slope? Don't I still have a slope? I still have a slope. If I want to graph this now, I start at what value every time? Whenever I need to graph something, where do I start at graphing? No. Whenever somebody asks you to graph, you have to graph starting out using the y-intercept. That's what you plot first. Guys, I'm whipped too. I'm exhausted. So there's nobody here that's probably more tired than me at this exact moment. And I'm doing this. So you all need to wake up, open the door. It's hot in here, and it's all the way uncool. Open the door. Let's get some airflow in here or something. I'm going to make you guys stand up and do jumping jacks here in a second. Okay. Now, you always are going to graph your y-intercept. So my y-intercept is going to be what, folks? 0, -5. So I come over here and I graph the point 0, -5. That puts me right here. Do we see that? There's the point 0, -5. Now my slope is 0. Graphically, what does your slope always have to turn into? A fraction. So I immediately am going to turn that into a fraction. So how many units am I going to rise up? I'm going to rise 0 units. And how many units am I going to run which direction? I'm going to run to the right 1 unit from here. So I rise up 0, I don't move, and I go to the right 1. Rise up 0 to the right 1. Rise up 0 to the right 1. Rise up 0 to the right 1. What type of a line is it? Look out over the horizon, and you have a horizontal line. Do we all see that? Yes or no? Yes? We good? Any questions over that? Go. What do you mean go back? This is like problems 9 through 12. Okay? It's like problems 9 through 12. Okay, write an equation. I'm going to give you 5 seconds to give me the equation. 5, 4, write it down. 3, 2, 1. Tell me, what's the equation, Danny? Yes, but what's my actual equation here? The answer. Or -3. -3 or -3. Very good. Thank you, Danny. She is right. Do we understand that? Great. They're the same. Plus negative is the same thing as minus. Okay? All right. Now, what happens if I give you this graphically? Why is that a negative slope? Because you're at the top of the hill and you're going to ready to sled down it, right? So this has a negative slope. Very good. We know our slope is negative. I like that. What else do I know about it? I need to do rise over run. Well, if I'm doing rise over run, where am I always starting at? Do I start at the top point to do rise over run or the bottom point? The bottom. Why the bottom point? Because you got to rise. You got to start at the bottom point. So from the bottom point, I'm going to rise up 1, 2, 3 units. I rose up 3 units, and then I went to the left 1 unit. I went to the left 1 unit, okay? Which is why it's a -3 as my slope. Do we understand that, yes or no? Now, what's my y-intercept? The y-intercept is the point 0.04, so what's my equation? Y equals mx plus b. To give me the equation, what? -3x plus 4. Do we understand that, yes or no? Okay, let's do one more of those. I want you guys to do it right now. I need 2 bits of information out of there. I need my slope and I need my y-intercept. What's a dead giveaway? It's a negative slope. What's another dead giveaway? The y-intercept's the easiest one to locate right away, right? So what's my y-intercept? My y-intercept is the point 0, -3. Right? Now, when I'm doing slope, which point do I start from? Why do I start at the bottom point? Because I got to rise. So my slope is going to be rise over run. So I'm rising up 1, 2, 3 units. And then how many? Ooh, sorry. Sorry, no, I'm not. Thank you. I don't know. I went up to the origin for the 0. I don't know why I did that. I'm rising up 1 unit. And then what am I doing? I'm going to the left 1, 2 units. Since I'm going to the left, what direction does left indicate? Negative, so my slope is -1/2. To give me the equation being what? Y is equal to -1/2x minus 3 or plus -3. Same thing. This is like problems 13 and 14 tonight. We good? Make sense? Okay, now for the hard part. You ready? The directions say, write the equation in slope-intercept form. What does that mean? If it says to write it in the form of slope-intercept form, I need to get y all by itself, which means I am solving for y. That is key, okay? So I'm solving for y. Why would I want to solve for y? What possible information would I get out of that? Brandon. What do I get? I'm going to find, by solving for y, I'm going to find the slope and the y-intercept. When I solve for y, what I'm doing is I'm finding the slope and the y-intercept. So let's go ahead and do that. We did this. You guys hated it. Remember, this is where we work our order of operations backwards. Remember that? So I locate the y. Now what's attached to the y by addition or subtraction? The 5x. Now how do I get rid of that 5x? You are going to subtract 5x from both sides. Negative 4y is equal to negative 5x plus 16. Now what do? I'm going to locate my y, and I ask myself, what is attached to the y, which is going to be negative 4, and it's attached by multiplication, so how do I get rid of it? I divide each term by negative 4. By doing this, it allows us to determine what y is. Y is equal to positive 5/4 x minus 4. Do we see that? Now, from there, what is my slope? My slope is going to be 5/4. And my y-intercept is the point 0, negative 4. Could I graph this? How would I go about doing that? I would graph the points 0, negative 4, which puts me right down here. Then what would I do? My slope was what? And that means I'm going to rise up 5 units and then run which direction? To the right 4. So I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then over to the right 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Can I do that again? I sure can. I'm going to rise up 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and to the right 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So now I have 3 points, and I have my line. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Now, do we understand that this is the graph of the line? Yes or no? We good? Does that make sense? Okay, let's do it again. Uh-oh. What do you see? You see trouble because you see fractions. But are they really, truly trouble? No, they are not trouble, because what are we going to do to get rid of them? We're not going to add them. No, we're not. We're going to get rid of them by doing what? Remember that test we took? We're going to multiply by, no. The least common denominator between 4 and 2 is what? It is the least common multiple. 4. Remember, it cannot be smaller than the largest number. Do we remember that? Okay, so I'm going to multiply each term by 4. So I have negative 3/4 x plus 1/2 y is equal to negative 1. Now what? Distribute. I take my outside number and do what first? Divide by my denominator. So what's 4 divided by 4? Multiply by this junk up top gives me negative 3x. 4 divided by 2 multiply by the junk on top, just gives you a 2y. 4 times -1 equals -4. Okay, now what am I doing? I need to find my slope and my y-intercept. So what do I have to do? I need to solve for y. So I'm going to, if I'm solving for y, I need to isolate my y. So I need to get rid of the stuff attached to it by addition or subtraction first, which means I do what? Add 3x. 2y is equal to 3x minus 4. Now what? I'm going to divide each term by 2. So I have y is equal to 3 over 2x minus 2. What's my slope? And what's my y-intercept? 0, -2, because it's a point. Now, what does this mean graphically? That means I'm going to graph the point 0, -2, and then what am I going to do? I'm going to go up 3 units because it's positive, and then what? To the right 2 units. So I go back to my graph. I go up 3 units, and to the right 2. Up 3 units, and to the right 2. Up 3 units, to the right 2. I have lots of points, and I connect, and I'm done. Does that make sense? Yes or no? Okay. These problems, solving for y and finding the slope and the y-intercept is like problems 15 through 20. Graphing is like 21 through 22. I have shown you everything you need to know to be able to do tonight's homework. Every single thing. This is the first homework of the second 9 weeks. I'm sorry. Now, I want to point something out to you. The second 9 weeks is extremely difficult for most students. Does anybody have a clue why it's so difficult? Because I'm going to make you look at the calendar here a minute. We have OGT testing the first week of the second 9 weeks. We have 1, 2, 3, 4.5 weeks before Thanksgiving. 4.5 weeks. Of those weeks, how many of you are hunting? Yeah. Then we have 1, 2, 3 weeks before Christmas when we come back. And then we hit January, and the end of the 9 weeks is going to be the 14th. Yep. So we only have 2 weeks whenever we get back from Christmas break to try to get those grades up. Any questions? You've got to do your homework every night, okay? Now, for problems 1 through 8, all you have to do is use the algebraic formula. 9 through 12, just give me the actual equation. 13 and 14, find the y-intercept graphically, and find the slope we're using rise over run. Turn it over. 15 through 20, solve each of them for y. Guys, there's not enough room on this. You're going to have to get another sheet of paper out. Am I clear? 21, 22, and 23. You will need to graph the equations. All right? You got to solve them for y, find the slope, and find the y-intercept. Should 22 and 23 be an issue? No. 23 is already solved for you, isn't it? Okay? 22, multiply by what? What's your LCD? 6. Very good. 24 through 26, find the slope and the y-intercept of each line. That's exactly like 13 and 14. Any questions?